Sweyn orders his son Canute to stay with the 5th of the troops to get more battle experience. However, in reality, the king does this because he wants his weak, cowardly son to die to Thorkel. This results in Canute getting kidnapped. A survivor of Canute's army finds Askeladd and asks them to save the prince. The greedy Askeladd sees this as an opportunity for power and murders the messenger. After all, he can't have the main army show up to save the prince and steal all of the glory. From here, Thorfinn saves Canute, only for Askeladd to take them to Wales to avoid battling Thorkel the Tall. After traveling on foot through the harsh snowy mountains of Wales for a long period of time, Askeladd starts to run out of food for his Vikings, so he raids a nearby village. Even with all of the village's food, there's barely enough for his men to survive, so Askeladd decides to murder every man, woman, and child in the village. This is another irredeemable act of evil committed by the main villain Askeladd, and another reason for Thorfinn to kill him. One girl escapes the Viking raid and tells a nearby village of Askeladd's presence, which reaches Thorkel the Tall. Thorkel starts trailing Askeladd, and this chase culminates in Thorfinn dueling Thorkel over the life of Askeladd, since Thorfinn doesn't want anyone other than himself to kill his greatest villain. With the help of Askeladd, Thorfinn is able to defeat the strongest man alive, and as promised, Askeladd will duel Thorfinn for a 3rd time once they get back to safety. After returning home, Thorfinn waits until Askeladd's wounds heal to fight him, but not for his own wounds to heal, so Thorfinn only has one arm. Shockingly, Askeladd throws his sword away for the fight, despite his opponent potentially being the strongest human being in the known world, since he was able to defeat Thorkel, although he did have a little help. Askeladd, not taking Thorfinn seriously as an opponent, enrages him, and he blindly attacks, only for Askeladd to respond perfectly. Thorfinn can't defeat Askeladd even when he's unarmed, because every time they fight, he doesn't use any strategy and just throws out blind rage, hoping it will be enough when it never is. Losing his 3rd duel, despite being so strong, leaves Thorfinn depressed and directionless. He can't achieve his only goal in life, he can't avenge his father, and he can't become strong because something is holding him back. After getting in a fight with some random Vikings, Thorfinn is thrown in jail. Leif, a sailing merchant who is friends with Thorfinn from his days in Iceland, finds him here and gets him out of jail. Thorfinn is about to follow Leif on the boat back to Iceland to see his family for the first time in 11 years, but then something stops him. Thorfinn still can't let go of his hate for Askeladd, his hate for himself being too weak to beat Askeladd in a duel, and the lack of resolution for his father's death that he's been searching for this whole time. So he leaves Leif in search of Askeladd once more. Askeladd was born as the bastard son of the Viking Olaf and his Welsh slave mother Lydia. Although Lydia was once Olaf's favorite slave to sleep with, once she became sick and delirious, Olaf forced Lydia to live in the barn with their kid. In order to keep himself and his mother alive, Askeladd began working all day. In fact, Askeladd isn't even his real name, it means covered in ash, and others gave it to him as a nickname since he usually got a bunch of ash on himself from work. One day, Lydia's sickness got so bad that when she saw Olaf, she thought he was the legendary knight Artorius who came back to save the Welsh people. In response to being touched by his sick barn slave, Olaf pulled out his sword to murder the woman, only to be stopped by Askeladd. After having a decent sword fight, Olaf decided that Askeladd had potential to become a great warrior, so he started to treat him like one of his legitimate sons. But something happened during Askeladd's childhood. Seeing how the Vikings cast aside him and his mother revealed that every human around him only cared for greed, lust, and violence. Askeladd was only ever respected by his family for his ability to enact violence onto others, not for who he is as a person. Modern psychology has shown that when a young child is mostly surrounded by evil people who abuse them and their parent, then that child is statistically more likely to develop antisocial personality disorder. This means that the person stops seeing humans for their individual worth and starts seeing every human as a part of a collective that they feel disdain towards. This is exactly what happened to Askeladd's brain during his childhood. Every Dane was a part of the group of evil Vikings, and his mother that he loved was a good Welsh woman, so he developed an antisocial personality towards all Danes. Because of this, Askeladd was never truly capable of loving a Dane, or loving himself because he is half Danish. Just like with Thorfinn, Askeladd is driven by both self-hatred as well as a hatred for others, and Askeladd also had his own evil father figure that he needed to kill. To kill his father, Askeladd did the same thing that Thorfinn did. He became one of those truly despicable Vikings so that he could both become stronger and gain the trust of his father. But unlike Thorfinn, he didn't need an honorable duel to enact his vengeance. Askeladd used his brother's sword to murder his father, and his other brothers ended up murdering that brother for Askeladd's crime. Of course, he didn't really care because he hated all Danes the same. After this murder, Askeladd was able to inherit his father's wealth for a new purpose. He wanted to become a powerful enough Viking by murdering guilty and innocent people alike so that he could one day use his ill-gotten gains to protect the one group of people that he cares about most, his mother's people from Wales. Lydia was the only good thing about Askeladd's life, and he couldn't let her down. After many years of being a despicable Viking, Askeladd murdered Thorfinn's father Thors for money, becoming the evil father that he once sought to destroy, ensuring that the cycle of violence would continue on to the next generation. Despite all of the evil Askeladd committed for money, he wasn't much closer to saving Wales. He let time pass him by, committing heinous acts as a Viking leader without ever gaining enough power to achieve the only goal in his life. That was, until he got word from a messenger that Prince Canute had been captured from Thorkel's army. A young member of royalty being in the hands of the enemy? That is a powerful person that Askeladd could mold into being the type of king that would ensure the safety of Wales. Instantly, Askeladd knew what he had to do. So he cut off the head of the messenger. In order for this plan to work, the only person who could save the prince is himself. After saving Canute, Askeladd traveled to Wales. He claimed that they were traveling by foot and not by boat to be considerate of the Welsh people for allowing them safe passage, but it was really because he wanted to help Wales as much as possible in case they were at war with the Danes. Askeladd also chose to travel through Wales so that he could force Canute into signing a peace treaty with the country. Although Prince Canute may be a coward, he is also adverse to violence. Askeladd knows that if he can mold Canute into being a stronger man, then he wouldn't have any desire to break the peace treaty, while the current king of the Danes, Sweyn, breaks every peace treaty that they enter. In order to gain the trust of the Welsh people, Askeladd tells them that he is a descendant of the legendary Welsh knight Artorius. This convinces the king that he is more Welsh than he is a Dane, so they agree to his peace treaty. While marching through the snowy mountains of Wales, Askeladd and his Vikings are running out of food, so his only choice is to raid a local village. When they don't have enough food, Askeladd decides to murder every man, woman, and child in the village. Of course, this is the last thing that Askeladd wants to do, but he knows that Prince Canute is the best chance Wales has of not being invaded by the Danes, so he sacrifices one village to the Vikings in the hope that he can save hundreds more. Another reason Askeladd murdered everyone is because if a single person escaped, word could reach Thorkel of their presence in Wales. Unfortunately, one girl was able to escape, so all of the villagers' deaths were in vain. Before learning that they are being pursued by Thorkel, Askeladd makes sure to murder Prince Canute's protector Ragnar. Ragnar is the embodiment of the devouring mother, sheltering a child he cares about from all danger and conflict, out of fear from all of the pain his child would endure when put into the real world. As long as Ragnar is alive, then Canute will never become strong enough to be king, so Askeladd has to kill him. After some time, Askeladd learns that Thorkel is trailing him not too far behind, so they begin marching. Naturally, his greedy band of Vikings care most about self-preservation, so they turn on Askeladd in the hopes that they won't have to fight Thorkel, the strongest man alive. They want to give up Canute in the hopes that Thorkel will let them live, but Askeladd will not let go of his only chance at protecting the people he loves most. The only two men who stay loyal to Askeladd are his right-hand man Bjorn and the angry boy Thorfinn. Askeladd tasks them with protecting Canute while he fights the rest of his own men. In this fight, Askeladd is finally honest with his followers and tells them that he has always hated every single one of them because they are worthless Danes. Before Askeladd can die, Thorkel reaches them. After learning that all of Askeladd's men want to surrender, Thorkel murders almost all of them because he is a crazy man who only lives for the thrill of battle, and he is upset that they tried to deprive him of his greatest pleasure. Before Thorkel can murder Askeladd, Thorfinn rides in on horseback to challenge Thorkel to a duel. If Thorfinn wins, he and Askeladd both get to live, and Askeladd has to do a third duel with him. And if he loses, then they are at the mercy of Thorkel. In an odd twist of fate, the hatred that Askeladd brought into Thorfinn's life is now the only thing keeping